You can get taken advantage of when you do not have awareness. If your awareness is not high, people can pull the wool over your eyes.
For our listeners, the reason I told this story is because they were trying to get me to fabricate a bunch of things that weren't real so that I would make the show more dramatic.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode, number 1076. Sometimes you just need a reset. Today, for episode number 1077, here is why many people get taken advantage of. So, as you know, several weeks ago, Taryn and I went to Colorado. And we went to Colorado, and we had to rent a car. Obviously, we were going to be there for 10 days. We're driving all over the place, so we went to rent a car. So Taryn did all of the paperwork, and she decided what we're going to have, and she agreed to all the terms and all that happy jazz, blah, blah, blah. I was going to pay for the car. So I gave her my credit card, and she went in, and she said, okay, cool, I'll be out in a couple minutes. Everything's going to be fine. She came out and got me and said, well, I can't pay with your card, so you got to go in there and pay. And I was like, okay, cool. Here we go. Let me go do this. So I go in, and I'm talking to the gentleman behind the counter. And Alan, you've rented cars with me in the past. You know, you've rented cars just in general. You know how oftentimes they try to pull the rug out from underneath your feet.
Oh, yeah.
That's what happened. So the gentleman.
Do you need this insurance and
Yes.
that insurance? And do you want the full deluxe package
100%.
deal platinum thing?
100%.
And you're like, yes, I'll take it.
Yeah, 100%. I did better this time. You'd be very proud of me. So I'm talking to the guy, and he's like, okay, so this is what you have. This is the car that you wanted to rent. I suggest you do an upgrade, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right, how much is the upgrade? Because in my mind, I did talk to Taryn. I said, we're going to need somewhat of a big SUV because we're going to have a lot of stuff, and we're going to have people, like, we should probably get a mid-size SUV. And she said, I think I got a little one. I said, okay, don't worry about it. So I asked the guy, I said, what do we have? And he said, well, you have a small SUV. And I said, all right, cool. How much is it to go up to the bigger one? And I think he said it was like $30 a day or something. And I was like, all right, $300. I was like, yeah, all right, that's good. We'll do that. And he's like, but.
Thank you, NLU.
Yeah, thank you, NLU.
Yeah.
But since you're getting married, I can actually move you up to an even more premium one, and I'll give you a discount. So it'll be $60 a day instead of, like, it'll be $30 for this, but it'll be $60 for the premium one. And I was like, what's the total? And he's like, the total is going to be, I think it was like $1,350. And I was like, nope, not interested. Not going over $1,000.
Yeah,
not going over $1,000. He's like, what if I can discount it? What if I can discount it even more? And I was like, I'm not going over $1,000. Like, I'm not interested. We already spent like $7,000 on photography. I'm not interested. I don't need it that bad. It's not a big deal.
Because you have brown hair. It's funny.
So
that'd be
he's like,
$17.95, boss.
$17.95, boss. So he says, all right, let me run some numbers. And I'm like, all right, man, whatever. You do your thing. And then he's like, if it was, I think he gave me another price. He's like,
It's like, what, do you own the place? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
If it was $1,250, would you do it? And I said, no, that's more than $1,000, greater than $1,000. I'm not interested. We're good. And he's like, this is what happened at the end, Alan. He's like, you know what, man? Since it's your wedding, I'm going to upgrade you anyway. And I was like,
oh, nice.
Well,
Strong
yeah,
work.
but
yeah, I know.
No, because you were trying to hustle me the whole time. And then he's like, you do need insurance, correct? And I was like, I don't know. Do I? Doesn't my insurance cover that? And this is interesting though. And this is the point. I took one of the insurance. I was like, how much is it? And he's like, $30 a day or something. I was like, how much is the other one? He's like, $10 a day. I said, give me the $10 a day one. I'll take my chances, man. It's all
Let
gonna be
me
fine.
move on with my life.
Yeah. So
you know,
it ended up being, I think it was $1,050.
FYI, never let Kevin go into the rental car
No.
place. He'll
I
end
did-
up with a Mercedes and $5,000 bill.
First of all, the
kidding.
Mercedes
I'm
they
kidding.
upgraded us to for free when you and I went, which I'm very grateful for. But so this is the thing, and this is an interesting thing. Taryn and I, we loved the vehicle we got. It was awesome, great, cool. Towards the end of the trip, there's a hailstorm. There was a hailstorm when we were in Denver, Colorado. And when it started hailing, I looked out the window and I was like, oh my God, I should have got the insurance. Oh my goodness, what does this all mean? So I started doing research about how does it actually work? When you get a rental car, does your insurance cover that? And this is what I got. Most insurances will cover it, but you usually have to pay your copay. So in this example, my copay is $300. If it was $10 a day for the insurance, should have taken the insurance.
Yep.
The point
Because then it'd be 100 versus 300.
100 versus 300. And you don't have to deal with your insurance. Your insurance doesn't get raised because you had a claim.
Remember in Florida when we had the rental car and the coconut smashed the windshield?
And you just stopped answering their emails and they left you alone? I'm glad your name was on that because we haven't had great. That was one time. And then the first time you and I ever rented a car, I remember they sent me pictures and somebody hit a yellow pole with it. And they were like, hey, you guys returned it this way. And I looked at the timestamps on the pictures, and I was like, these pictures were taken like 4 days later. Like, what do you mean? You can't prove that was us.
We had photos of the car when we finished. So, Kev, do you remember the guy with the water bottles?
Yes.
That just randomly was like, take whatever one you want. You know, we've had some interesting rental car stories.
Our travels have been interesting, but this is the through line. This is the point of this entire episode. You can get taken advantage of when you do not have awareness. Mm-hmm. If your awareness is not high, people can pull the wool over your eyes. And the reason this is a secondary topic or a secondary story, Alan, I told you this. I told the team this the other day. I said, at Next Level Podcast Solutions, we are doing something drastically different than almost any other company in the podcast industry. And this is how I know. I did a podcast breakthrough session with somebody, and this guy's awesome. Great human being, veteran. He was a sniper in the Marines, I believe. Like, just a cool dude. Like, just a really cool dude. And he was telling me, he's like, yeah, I'm working with this company. They're supposed to be helping me grow. We haven't done a single call. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm paying for. And I was like, if you don't mind me asking, how much are you paying a month? And he's like, $750. And I was like, you're paying $750 for what? And he's like, I don't really know. Like, I'm part of a group. And like they want me to promote their stuff, and I can make money that way. And I said,
they want me to promote their stuff.
Yeah.
You're paying $750 to
sell
promote
their stuff. And I said, all right, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. I said, cancel that immediately. Like after this call, cancel that. Just cancel it. You're wasting your money. And then I proceeded. I asked him this simple question. I said, and he said, they're not doing audio editing, not doing video editing, not doing coaching. They're not helping me at all. They're just trying to get me to sell their stuff. I said, all right, cool. Imagine. And I said, again, if it's not aligned, it's not aligned. What if I could do all of that, audio editing, video editing, blah, 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 for blank amount per month, which is less than you're paying now for nothing? And he's like, oh, wow, I'm getting ripped off, aren't I? And I said, you are getting ripped off. I'm sorry to say it, but you're getting ripped off. That could never happen to me at this point,
right?
Because my awareness is too high.
But it could have in the beginning.
It very much could have in the beginning. But
exactly.
I see this all the time with people, especially in the fitness industry. There's this new product, there's this new whatever it is, this new supplement, this new diet. When the people who are selling those things to you, they have the awareness that you don't have a high enough level of awareness to know that they're BSing you. Yeah. So that was my goal in this episode, is to at least raise the understanding that when you are more aware of the world and the way things work, you are far less likely to be taken advantage of. And yeah, it's very hard to know everything, right? I don't know everything. Alan doesn't know everything. But what you can do is you can research. So if you feel like you're being taken advantage of, if you feel like somebody has a higher awareness than you, this happens all the time at the mechanic. If you go to the mechanic and they say, yeah, you're, whatever, your Jeffrey strut's broken. It's like, what the hell's a Jeffrey strut? Go home and Google Jeffrey strut, and then you'll figure out somebody might be BSing you. I used to work at a gas station. They used to rip people off. I know for certain they did. I know they did because I knew the owner, and he was a sleazy dude. And he would literally say like, well, if somebody comes in and they need an oil change, like try to get them to do brakes too. Like that was their business. And I wasn't in the garage. I was out pumping gas. I didn't have any control over that. But
I hate it, man.
It was basically using people's lack of awareness to make money and build a business. So that was my goal in this episode, is to help you figure out you might be being taken advantage of based on your lack of awareness. And car rental places, that happens. Like I'm convinced. I left that interaction saying, I cannot believe that's like a business practice to do what they're doing.
I know. Isn't it
blows
crazy?
My mind. It blows my mind.
It's wild. Kev, you remember when we went to the rental place and they tried to get us that green pickup truck that looked like it was made
like $700
in 1980, and it was like $700, and we were like,
for one
no,
day.
Yeah, and it's like we used to get, no. So there's so many examples.
We didn't have $700 either at the time.
No.
It was like, I couldn't give it to you if I wanted to.
Yeah. And it's like, no, we don't need a pickup. It's like me and you in a pickup with, what do we got our podcast equipment in the back. What if it rains, It's like, there goes the Hyperconscious podcast right off the rails. So I've talked to Kevin about this a lot behind the scenes, but I want to give this to the listeners. He asked me often, like, why mastery was always so important to me. And Emilia and I have 3 core values on our underneath. It's like in the entrance to our kitchen. I don't know how to explain it, obviously, but they're literally. I hung these letters, and we have 3 words. There's align, optimize, and erudite. And erudite is a word that not a lot of people know what it means. But if you've ever seen the movie Divergent, one of the factions in Divergent, it's a very popular movie, Kev. I know you probably haven't seen it because you don't see movies. But erudite is one of the factions. Essentially what it means is to be extremely intelligent. It's to love learning and to be extremely knowledgeable. And I tell this story often about how when I was young, I was in my early 20s, and my mom confronted me and she said, Alan, why do you care so much about intelligence? Like, I don't understand. Like, why does intelligence matter so much to you? And I said to her back then, and granted I'm in my early 20s, and I said, it's the most important thing. I tried to explain it like it's the most important thing in the 21st century, right? Like way back in the day, maybe being strong and brawn, like in sports, obviously being strong and fast and bigger, stronger, faster, like is what matters most. But in the 21st century, your brain is your greatest asset, in my opinion. Knowledge, awareness, learning, insatiable curiosity. You have to be aware. What's the difference between me at 15 and me at 33? I'm way more aware now. And I also am way more capable. I've also developed skills as well. But how did I develop those skills? Because I learned how. So like learning really is the root of all like greatness, in my opinion. But not a lot of people taught us that. We learned, but we didn't learn how to learn. We didn't learn why to learn. We didn't learn how important learning is. And so, for example, someone who doesn't know trigonometry, they don't know what they're leaving on the table by not knowing trigonometry. Someone who doesn't know fitness doesn't really know what they're leaving on the table by not knowing fitness. And so erudite is a core value for Emilia and I because we are constantly trying to learn everything that we possibly can. And so one of the reasons why, and I told this to my mom, intelligence is the most important thing is because you can't get taken advantage of. Kevin and I joke about the banjo minnow. When I was a really young kid, I saw an infomercial, picture like the Wonder Mop or like, I don't know, that shake weight or whatever thing that's supposed, or like the belt that gives you abs or whatever. Yeah, it's like, no, of course not, right? Insert silly supplement here or whatever. The banjo minnow, they did an infomercial where I swear to God they starved these fish and they just put them in tanks and then they recorded it. These fish love this banjo minnow. And I grew up on a lake, so I would fish with this thing. I used to fish and I would catch fish all the time. Father's Day, Kevin and I were fishing. I think we caught, 9? I think it was like 9 each or something. 9 and 7. We caught a lot of fish. So that pond, the banjo minnow, I fished for years with this thing. I caught 1 fish. Man, I swear to God, they hated this thing.
I just wanted to take a quick second and give a shout out and a huge thank you to Next Level Podcasting Solutions, Kevin and his team. They have been incredible to work with, very flexible, on the spot with any questions that I have or any concerns that I have. When I first started out my podcast, I was doing everything on my own. I have no editing background. I have no podcasting background. I knew nothing about it. And so I was bootstrapping all of this myself while I was still trying to take on my role as a full-time mom. And once I met up with Kevin and we had these discussions and I got on board with adding an editing team, oh my goodness, it just lifted this weight off of me. It lifted my time that I was spending doing my editing. And in the beginning, full transparency, when I was editing just my individual recordings, it was a little more manageable, not super manageable. And then when I started doing my interviews for the podcast, it was hours upon hours of me doing the editing that didn't include any of the promotional material that I am now getting from Kevin and his team. It wouldn't have been sustainable. I would not have been able to keep up with that. So I recommend Kevin and his team. They have done wonderful work in helping me grow my podcast. I have really enjoyed working with the editing team, and it definitely feels like more of a team environment versus me hiring them to do a specific job. I mean, we all work collaboratively on the projects that I have, and I have these crazy ideas sometimes, and they come up with a solution to fit my needs. I can't recommend them enough. I've really enjoyed working with them. Kevin and the Next Level Podcasting Solutions, thank you so much for the work that you have done in the past and are continuing to do for me. I'm growing this community and growing this platform with a beautiful team that is working for me and with me to see my vision and help that come to life. So thank you again so much. I really appreciate you guys.
But my point is this. I was a little kid. My mom told me it was a dumb idea because it's an infomercial and she knows better. And I was like, no, you don't know. You don't understand. These fish are going to love this thing. You should see them on camera, right? Watch the videos. But that's the thing. When we're kids, we get taken advantage of because we don't really know much. You know, I made $7.25 an hour for a golf course, and I understand why that is from a business perspective now, but like I probably could have asked for more. You know, you don't really know. You don't know much. And that's probably part of why I didn't make that much money, right? Obviously, if you know how to run the place effectively, you should make more money. So there's that whole conversation. But what I want to share is this with the listeners. So Kevin knows this story. A few years back, I got a call from a casting director about a show. I've talked about this on the podcast, but if you're a new listener, essentially what it was is a show from the UK at the time called Love Island. And now it's big in the US, but prior to it being big in the US, they were like, listen, it crushed it in the UK. It's a reality TV show. This is literally what the guy said to me. Picture the hottest people in the world. And I was a fitness model at the time, so he obviously found me on Instagram. And the hottest people in the world are all on an island. And it's like a dating show, reality TV, and it's like you party together and there's like drama, right? Like it's the best thing ever, right? So anyways, I talked to Kev about it, and they promise fame, fortune. They promise, you're going to be on TV, and if the show blows up, you'll essentially be famous for the rest of your life, essentially, but not necessarily famous for what I wanted to be known for. So anyways, I ended up declining it, but I did end up doing 3 different interviews. And it was the only time in my entire life where I felt like being intelligent was actually a bad thing. One of the casting directors interviewed me, and she's like, "So are you always this like calculated in your thinking?" And I was like, "Yeah." what, is that bad, right? Because she just wants you to go off the rails on the show. Here's my point. Reality TV is not reality at all, and I have proof. Okay? I've been interviewed by these people, and they literally were fabricating stuff. They were like, so tell me your story. Like, what's your dating story? Like, I was like, well, I kind of broke up with my girlfriend and, this, that. They're like, hey, can you like pretend you like hate her? And like that kind of, and so here's my point. I'll keep all this anonymous. And again, I don't know if this was a separate agency, so this is nothing against Love Island. Full disclaimer, this is nothing against Love Island or whatever they do, okay? So I get a text from the other day. Kevin and I are on Zoom. Alan, my man, it's your favorite casting director. Insert name here. Keep it anonymous. We spoke about Love Island a few years back. Hope you're doing amazing, man. Are you still single? I'm casting this brand new upscale and super fun dating show that I think you would be perfect for. Please let me know if you'd like to hear more info, and I can give you a call. Hope you're doing awesome, bud. And again, this guy was kind, but not my cup of tea. So what's my point, right? All these reality TV shows, FYI, and I think most people know this, but kids might not.
Yeah.
That's what bothers me about these things is they're literally so unreasonably fabricated. First of all, no one's first date is on a hot air balloon overlooking Italy. You know what I mean? It's just a broken paradigm. So for our listeners, the reason I told this story is because they were trying to get me to fabricate a bunch of things that weren't real so that I would make the show more dramatic. And so Kevin and I talked. Obviously, I decided not to do it because it was a terrible idea. And then a few years later, I was in... Kev, I don't know where we were. Oh, no, I was at UMass Amherst, and I was in the gym there, and I saw it up on the TV. I saw it up on the TV, and I was like watching the show, and I would never watch this myself, but it was on the TV in Anytime Fitness there, and I was like, yeah, that's interesting. I'm so glad I didn't do that, you know? But anyways, so my point of this whole story, and Kevin's point as well, is I think we were undersold on an idea. I know we were, actually. I used to have this quote that I always said, I don't know if it ever landed. If Tom Brady taught the Pythagorean or geometry in New England, we'd all know the Pythagorean theorem. And what I was trying to say is, listen, whatever country you're from, when you were at school, I think as kids we kind of knew. We kind of knew that, like, these teachers, I love educators and I love teachers, so this is nothing against teachers. What kids value when they're kids isn't learning. What they value is what learning could get them. When I was in my master's program, Kev, I took an entrepreneurship course, and I was like, oh, this is the way. Oh my God, if I get smart enough and work hard enough, I can create any life I want. And I was hooked on phonics after that, man. I was all in. I started a company. I told you about how I watched the Steve Jobs speech. I literally got up out of microeconomics, and I was like, okay, I'm done with college now. I ended up going back, but I started a company with some of my friends. And so learning is the cheat code. It is. If you are not aware, you are in trouble. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is absolute devastation. If you don't know how to get fit, you'll never be fit. If you don't know how to get wealthy, you'll never be wealthy. If you don't know how to fall in love and sustain love and grow love, you will never be in love and sustain it. And I've made more mistakes than I can count, but I'm getting better and I'm focused on learning. I just finished a book. I didn't finish a book. I'm sorry. I started a book. I bought like 5 books this past weekend. One of them is called Ruthless Consistency. And the other one of the other ones is called Think Like a Rocket Scientist. And the Think Like a Rocket Scientist book is so good. It's like, I love it. And all it is teaching you how to think critically and think rationally and think long term. And it's a lot of what we talk about at NLU. But that's my point here. I know, Kev, your point was you will be taken advantage of if you're not aware. My point is go be the most aware. You want to know the best cheat code? It's you can't get taken advantage of when you're more aware than everybody else. You can't. And that's good. Knowledge really is power if you use it in the right way and if you seek it consistently. So no one knows everything, but you can know a lot more than you used to, and your life will only get better in proportion to that.
So one of my goals in life is to help people become more aware. The podcast I originally started was called Hyperconscious, acutely aware, understanding things at a deep, deep, deep level. Alan, I know you get a bunch of these messages. I got one the other day, a DM. Here's your chance to get featured in Maxim magazine. All you have to do is pay this discounted price of $1,250 and we'll feature you in the magazine. I like to screenshot that and put that on my story so people realize that some people are paying to get to a certain place in their life, and then you don't know that, and you assume that they know stuff that you might not know, and it's this vicious cycle. I had somebody DM me, somebody that we had on the show a long time ago. This person DM'd me. And I know my awareness is high. I know what this person is doing. I can just tell. I can tell energetically what's going on. Hey, Kev, long time no talk. What's going on, man? How's everything? And I was like, it's, I sent this person an audio. It's going awesome. We just crossed our 1,000th episode, blah, blah, blah. Things are great. And I said, how are you? I know what's happening. The reason I asked how are you is because I know there's a pitch coming. I just know that my awareness is high when it comes to this. And this person messaged me back, oh, I'm doing this and I'm changing the game with this and I'm helping people do blah, 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 blah. And then it was some sort of question of like, is that something you could find value in or something? And he said, what's your big offer? Like, what's your big offer right now? And I said that we don't have a big offer. Yeah, you know what our offer is? Add more value than anybody else ever of all time. Like, that's our offer. We're not doing it the same as you. Like, this isn't going to work. And my goal in just telling you that is, if my awareness wasn't high, that conversation would go completely different. That person might say something like, yeah, let's hop on the phone and see where we can add value to each other's life. I don't do that because I know you're not trying to add value to my life. I know that's not what's happening here. And at a deep level, I don't necessarily believe you can. And that's a whole nother conversation. Alan, we both have calls in 10 minutes, so we should probably wrap up here.
Yes. Let's
Anything
do
to add quickly?
Yeah. So, and I think your audio is, and your internet is deafening a little bit, but
No worries.
all good. The last thing that I would say on this episode, I really enjoyed this, is become the most aware that you can possibly become, and you'll still screw up, you'll still get taken advantage of, but it'll be far less. This is my quote. You can only be taken advantage of to the extent that you have low awareness. I was in the gym one time with a mentor who's a very, very successful multimillionaire, CEO of tech companies, and he said, Alan, you got to be careful. These companies are lining their pockets with your ignorance. And he was talking about credit card companies. And he knew that I know the numbers. And by the way, if you don't know, do the math sometime. Look at your credit card, look at the interest rate, and then actually crunch the long-term numbers of how much extra you're paying. The credit card companies are not saying this out loud. Now, are there benefits to having credit cards? Are there cash back? Yes, of course. Kevin and I do them too, but we have all the numbers. We have all the interest rates. We know exactly what we're paying extra. We're doing the math equations in our head, so we're super aware. And so awareness is the most important thing. Self-belief plus high awareness plus consistent learning, you're going to be in a better position because you can't make great choices without high awareness. And so that's what this podcast is about. That's where it started. That's where it's going to be forever. The Hyperconscious podcast was about becoming acutely aware, health, wealth, and love. We want to help you become more acutely aware, change the way you think, change the way you act, change the way you live. So we're still on that same through line, and we always will be, because at the end of the day, having a deeper understanding of how you work, how the world works, you won't get taken advantage of as much.
I got nervous. There was a squirrel running outside, and it caught my attention.
Squirrel.
Yeah, there was a squirrel out there. That's
ADHD?
That's why I looked away.
You ever remember in AIM, do you remember in AIM AOL days, way back, that little emoji where it was like, I don't have, and then the thing flies by and it goes ADHD. You remember that?
Were those like the original GIFs? GIF, whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever it is. GIF. Okay, we got to go.
How old are we?
We are old as dirt. Next Level Nation, if you are looking to raise your awareness, our 8th round of group coaching starts October 4th, 2022. Bi-weekly coaching calls with Alan and myself, a group of 9 other individuals who are also next level. Our app, Optimal, you'll be in a private WhatsApp group. There's reports. There's a workbook to work through. It is truly a wonderful experience, and we have seen so many amazing results. So please join us if that is something you're interested in. Everything you need to know is in the show notes below. Tomorrow for episode number 1078, a simple but profound question. Where are you letting yourself down right now? As always, we love you, appreciate you, grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Please reach out.